jump back over to our presentation. Keep dragging you guys along. And we started looking at, we really had two classes of users. We had these power users on top, right? Because we're the best, we're up here on top. Then everybody else, right? Okay, so our goals, and these weren't really Silverlight map viewer goals, but our goals were, it's got to be fast, it's got to be simple, it's got to be easy to use, okay? And web ADF, just wasn't quite there. So we had to look at some of these other tools, and we'll talk more about our evaluation of these other tools. But we wanted a single point of deployment, meaning we wanted to be able to hook this up to the GeoPortal so that everybody could go to one place and get to that map. And furthermore, each region would have their own implementation of this map viewer. And since we had SharePoint, and we're starting to work with integrating this technology onto our IT systems, we wanted to make sure whatever we chose could be a candidate for actually integrating to SharePoint down the road if we so chose to do. And then, since we'd invested all this time and energy in all these ArcGIS services, we wanted to make sure we could reuse that. So Silverlight was kind of an obvious choice. But we looked at some of the other viewers, and I already mentioned Web ADF was slow. We work with ESRI. How can we make this faster? Well, just cache everything. How many people here have cached a layer? Were you successful? We still haven't successfully created a cache in our shop. So every time, 2 weeks into it, it falls over. So that didn't help, and Web ADF was really slow. But when we started integrating Web ADF with our IT group, we found out we had some issues going across domains. So our ArcGIS server was on one domain, the IT servers were on another domain, and guess what? You could not, because of some Internet Explorer issue, you could not make calls back to the map server. So what we had to do was we had to distribute the Web ADF part of that onto the IT server, and that worked, but guess what? ESRI says if you do that, you've got to pay for another ArcGIS server license. So it's like, well, what's our choice? And they said, well, you could use one of these new REST APIs. And so we thought, okay, well, that's what we're going to do. Now, I think that's since changed, but that was one of our driving factors of going down this road. We're actually kind of glad we had that little push because we think this is the right way to go. We looked at JavaScript, and it was just not where we wanted to be. We did a little bit of prototyping with the Flex API. We like that interface, and really the look and feel is very, very similar to the Silverlight. But what's the problem there? Well, who knows how to program in Flex, okay? My GIS architect is a .NET, Microsoft programmer, and guess where he's comfortable? Silverlight, because those are the same tools that he's always used. So that's kind of what drove us down this path. Here's a picture screenshot of the map viewer. I'm going to demo this as well. Here are the features that we built in, and I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that we had after I do the demo. But just know that Silverlight is not for the faint of heart. You have to do a lot of development around that API. It's not an out-of-the-box solution. You're going to have to put some glue around it. So these are some of the features that we came up with. I'll actually demo these, so I'm not going to read this list to you. And with that, let's take a look at the Silverlight map viewer. So we spent most of June in Cairo, Egypt, and this is where we did our first Silverlight implementation. And basically what we did is we took the GeoPortal framework and then we tried to modify it so that the first thing the user sees when they go to their regional page is this map. And our premise is that 90% of all the users just want to get to a map. So if we go to the Egypt page, you'll see it's a little bit different. There's two things that you can get to. If you're the GIS user, you're going to go to the resource page. That's where all the maps and data are, and that's what I just recently demoed to you. But if you're everybody else, then what you want to do is go to the base map. Now this base map has only been implemented in Cairo, but it will be our model for all the other regions. So we're working now to make this available through all the other regions. This is a live demo. This is taking mapping data from ArcGIS Online as our base maps. And if you're listening to any of the seminars, there's kind of a distinction between operational layers and then your everything else, okay, your base map layers. So these would be our base map layers. And you can see here that as I scroll in and out, zoom, pan, the map is very performant. So let me just, so you can appreciate this, tell you what's happening. So we're going back to our server in Houston, and then we're also going to an ESRI server someplace, and we're grabbing this ArcGIS online, and then we're bringing that back here through this web browser here in San Diego. So it's where everybody's supposed to apply, I don't know. So you can see it's very performant, looks great. I mean, it's just a great interface, looks so much better than the web ADF. And then we have all of our operational layers on top of the base map data as we need. Now, what we had to do is develop all of this stuff that you see over here on this side, okay? These were the layers that we created for this implementation. It could have been anything. We'll probably add some layers as we go down the path. You know, we'll put, you know, maybe pipelines on there, production on there, and, you know, whatever other layers that the users decide that they need. But the idea is a simple interface that users can go to quickly see data, and see data in different representations. For example, if I highlight concessions, it's my active layer, and then I have all of these different layer views that I can now show. Now, because the resolution of this projector, we're not seeing everything down here in the legend, but as I click on a layer view, notice that it changes the thematic representation just with a click of the button. So I can quickly change what I'm looking at just by, you know, clicking on that different view. I can also search for data. We've implemented a really nice search feature. Notice how it auto-completes as I type in. So all the concessions that I have in this area, I can quickly get to the one I'm interested in just by typing 1 or 2 or 3 letters. When I conduct that search, it will pan over to the feature that I'm interested in. I can zoom in tighter by doing a zoom to. And then I can actually click on that feature, and when I click on that feature, notice I get all the attributes. Now, how simple is that? Can't get much more simpler than that. But we took it one step further. We created these links to external information. So I have this download link here for the concession agreement. Now, concession is a lease. This is the lease information showing when it was awarded, when it expires, and so on. And this agreement link is actually a scanned image of the concession agreement with the government. It's stored as a PDF. This is actually going back to Cairo, and it hit the file server in Cairo and brought that image back to us here, okay? More applause. So now I've got this great tool for data, you know, data mining and getting to information I'm really interested in. I can also turn on other layers, make those the active layer, and notice wells are now showing up. I can change, you know, the symbology on the wells, again, like I did with concessions. I can click on that to get information about a well, and I have some links here. Now, one of these links is actually an LAS file. I'm going to show you the composite log. The LAS file, if you have our LAS viewer, it will actually launch the viewer, bring the LAS file in, and then you're in an entirely different application. So you've used the GIS as your way to get to information that you want to work with someplace else. So we see GIS as a great integration tool and a tool for finding other information. We think that's what it should be used for. So again, this particular link is actually bringing down a PDF. Again, we're going all the way to Cairo, to the file server there, grabbing that, bringing that here through this network connection. And what you're going to see here is the actual composite log for that particular well. If I'm wanting to do something else while that's working, guess what? I can still work in the map. So it works asynchronously. If I want to change the view, I can actually go to one of the other imagery layers. Now, of course, that's hard to see with the concessions turned on, so I can click concessions off, maybe click wells off. But what if I wanted to see concessions and the imagery? Well, I've got a slider bar here where I can adjust. Now, there's our composite log. I can adjust this slider bar so that it's transparent or not. Hang on to it here. So there's a lot of just simple tools that make the user experience just a little bit better, a little richer. So that's our Silverlight implementation. Yay. So I'm going to jump back over to my presentation here.